Hello, welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg. I hope each and every one of you are doing well today. Um, I want to discuss something here regarding before the month is over, before the month of July is over. I was going to do a Fourth of July video commentary on socialism, but I didn't get around to doing it. And before I do, I want to take an opportunity to owe somebody an apology. I put out a post on Facebook a little while back around Bastille Day, making a little just trying to make a little snarky remark, and it was not intended to hurt this person's feelings, but I offended somebody who was making a jab at 4th of July, whose politics are a little more conservative than mine, shall we say the least. So I want to take this opportunity to apologize to this person. I do apologize. It was meant to be snarky. That's all it was meant to be. So no hard feelings. So anyway, but I do want to say everything that is best about America is socialist. And I really do think so. And as a democratic socialist, I'm very vocal in the defense of the rights of all Americans, including those with whom I would disagree with, in opposition of all forms of despotism, totalitarianism, exploitation. I like to say that socialists can lay claims to the American Revolution, just as the early American revolutionists believed in the welfare of the people could not be reserved by a corrupt monarchy. So, as socialists, we believe that the long-term harm is being done to the people of the United States and the world cannot be, it can't be served by capitalism. But unlike the early American revolutionaries, we do not limit this involvement in our movement to, white men of wealth. And we do not advocate taking up arms against the government. Like these early revolutionists, democratic socialism will be successful one day. Winning the majority on our side. And I hope that everybody will join that struggle. And, just where I stand. I mean, I just think that as society progresses on, you got to have an economic system that serves the needs of the people to move on to have a proper functioning society. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talking about in America what's actually really good about our country that we take for granted, that where we need to go further than what we have, but we do have actual existing socialism that we take for granted. And I look at it and I think that socialism, for example, equals Social Security. And if you think about that, Social Security program was created, basically long after these socialists, early socialists in the 20th century proposed it as an idea. And it was, came about under FDR's New Deal liberalism. But it's something that to be proud of. You think about safety first. If that doesn't sound familiar, and it should, but you might not know that there's the motto the United Mine Workers, a union that the Socialist Party helped create it, such as Mary Harris, Mother Jones, not the magazine, but the actual activists help organize. And back in those days, miners supported a roof of a coal mine with their own wood, their own time. And now they have a right to a safe workplace in places where those coal mines still exist. Now they have to continue that fight to preserve those coal mines because there is an attack by corporatists against the coal mine industry in the guise of environmentalists. You can actually phase coal miners into green jobs, and that's what needs to be done. But in the meantime, to do so without attacking their standard of living, and I would advocate nationalizing the coal industries that we do have in this country to preserve their jobs. And that's something we need to look seriously into. Equal rights. And socialists have been calling for equal rights for African Americans as early as the 1900s. You know, if you think about it, the NAACP being formed in 1909, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment. But you know, like for example, look back in the year 1932 when black and white sharecroppers banded together and with the creation of the very first biracial union in the South back in the early 1930s in Arkansas. That's an example of equality taking place. Or during World War II, when U.S. citizens were put in these horrible concentration camps, maybe not horrible to the level of Germany, what was done against Jews and other minorities in Germany, but there were still concentration camps just the same here in the United States against Japanese Americans. I mean, socialists raised their voices in opposition to what both parties, you know, while both parties were kept silent. And Dr. Martin Luther King made his "I Have a Dream" speech in Washington, D.C. in 1963. And with prominent socialists in the background. A. Philip Randolph was one of the main organizers behind the event of the March of Washington, and veteran Socialist Party candidate for President Norman Thomas. Dock workers in the 1980s basically organized an action to put a stop to a South African freight liner, basically as an act of defiance against the apartheid government of South Africa. So there's been a move around for equality, and socialists have been in the forefront of this. Many other examples: freedom riders in the early 60s, CORE, which back then, which had Stokely Carmichael, who became the leader of one of the Black Panther leaders later on. He came up with the Black Power slogan. Family farms. A family farm is owned by the people that work in it, and not some corporate shareholder. And these family farms, they work basically cooperatively and collectively in a lot of ways. And that's socialism. That's something that even predates. That's something that kind of that's something that you even see in religious communities like the Amish. They practice a socialism of sorts, although they're neither in favor of nor against. It's just something that they do innately. But it's a form of socialism, and it's part of the reason why they have a good quality of life and all that. Socialists have been always opposed to wars. Eugene Debs, was arrested under the Espionage Act of 1917 for opposing the war in World War I. And the American Civil Liberties Union, which I will talk about later on, was formed as a reaction to the National to the Espionage Act. But the socialists have been in the forefront of the peace movement in America. For example, during World War I, the Socialist Party of America was the only political party, along with the Italian Socialist Party, to oppose the Great War in Europe. Whereas, unfortunately, the others, they got behind their national leaders at the time, which was a big mistake. But here in America, they knew what bad business war is, so they opposed war, and they have been in the forefront of the anti-Vietnam War movement, the Contra, giving aid to the Contras in Nicaragua, the Iraq War. I mean, you name it, and everything. And right now, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of progressives who are giving tacit support to this war, if not passionate support to this war in Russia and Ukraine. But I do think that the tide will turn, and that a lot of people on the left will join. And if you're a true socialist, you have opposed this war from day one. The American interventionism in the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Public education. Now, when it comes to public education, people, they need to be educated if they're to participate in self-governments, and a free society provides equal education for all, not poor education for those that can't afford it, and decent education for those who can afford it. But educated children to build a better future. Healthcare. Now, we are not fully there yet, and I hope to see it one day happen. Not just Medicare for all, but a full-blown national health service like they have in Great Britain, or the universal public system that they have for healthcare in Cuba. Either way, it's basically the same system, and it's a good thing that they have it in the UK and they have it in Cuba. I make no apologies for it. Socialized medicine, we need it, but we have Medicare and when Medicaid, and when it's not being fucked with, and it's being allowed to do what it's supposed to do, it's a very good system. My grandmother, who passed away in 2018, she told me for many years that she was grateful for it, and that and that we should. Medicare should be available for all. And at a minimum, we should have a Medicare for all system like they have in Canada, or like they have in France or Sweden. And we need, at least at a minimum, a national health insurance system. So democracy. We support a democracy. And we think that a democratically run economy is necessary as a political democracy, and that working people should have a genuine say. I'll give you an example where you can find these institutions. Unfortunately, not in America, but after World War II, for example, when the Labour Party got elected in 1945. In the UK, they created what was called public corporations. When they were nationalizing the coal industry, for example, or nationalizing, steel, or some of these large industries, what they did is they bought it from the private sector. And once it was bought from the private sector, it was democratically run by these national boards. And these national boards consisted of the former owners, the government, and the unions to decide how to best, nurture that particular industry and to get it working so it works for the needs of the people of your society. And I would do something along those lines. I like to see something along those lines here in this country. And what more patriotic thing can you do for society than to take something as horrible as the oil industry, or something as rotten as our medical industrial complex, or some of these other exploitive industries that actually impose harm on people, and to have it democratically run by the people, and have it run by the people to serve the needs of the people. I think that socialism, is very, if you play it right, socialism can be a very American principle. And, that's what I wholeheartedly believe in that. It's hard to be patriotic sometimes when you have society telling you that if you favor doing something for the people, they act like it's a foreign concept. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. You're doing something for the people. It doesn't have to be considered a foreign concept. Not at all. So I'm going to give you a nice little history. Well, I'm not going to call it a history, but it is a history of sorts. But my guideposts of what I go by, basically, would be the Socialist Party of America. Now, it doesn't exist today. I know there is a Socialist Party USA. There's a Democratic Socialist of America. There's even a Social Democrats USA, which has kind of a spotty history when it became a thing. But the Socialist Party of America is where it all started. Suffice to say, this is where it all started for all socialist party, whether it's the Communist Party, the Socialist Workers Party, the Socialist, the Party for Liberation and Socialism, you name it, Committees of Correspondence, the ISO, your alphabet soup of all the political parties that exist out there can be in that family tree, can go right back to the old party of Eugene Victor Debs. Every last one of them. The only one that isn't would be the Socialist Labor Party, which superseded the Socialist Party of America. And regarding the Socialist Labor Party, the moderate wing of the SLP merged with the Social Democratic Party of America, which was founded in 1897 by Eugene Debs, and in 1901 became the Socialist Party of America. So there you have it. And so this is where it all kind of culminated and started right there. So I kind of use this as kind of like a guidepost of where it all, I call it the OG. Eugene Debs was the OG. Now I got this poster hung proudly in my living room. Of course, it's hung proudly in my living room. So you have that, and now many organizations that came to being today, and I mentioned some of them came into being today. For example, I will start with the NAACP, which was founded in 1909. The modern civil rights movement that eventually worked toward broad civil rights, and there's plenty of work still to be done. Trust me, there's plenty of work to still be done. But the NAACP came about and was founded, by people such as W.E.B. Du Bois, who was a prominent socialist, a Philip Randolph, prominent socialist, and Eugene Debs was a member of the NAACP. The NAACP is not just for African Americans. You can be white and join the NAACP. I mean, NAACP stand for equality. Now, the organization today has gotten a little on the mainstream side, granted, and has gotten into a redundant course of mainstream liberalism, sadly enough. And doesn't really connect with socialist movement like it could have at one time. But suffice to say, we're better off in America because of what the NAACP and very similar like organizations have done in terms of fighting for racial equality for all. Still, there's plenty of work to be done. And but I am proud as a socialist that the NAACP is still part of the socialist tradition. So another group that plays a role in this would be the American Civil Liberties Union, founded in 1917 as the National Civil Liberties Bureau as a reaction to the Espionage Act of 1917. And then it changed its name, of course, to the American Civil Liberties Union. And while the ACLU, kind of like the NAACP, has kind of meandered into a redundant liberal territory, the ACLU has done a lot of important work in its past, also for racial equality, civil rights for all. Also done work for right to privacy, free speech. Has done work to put a stop as much as they can to the U.S. government doing all this snooping against American citizens. Although it has won a lot of major victories in the past, somehow, some way, the U.S. government is finding its way back into snooping into our lives again. Now, I do know that the ACLU is fighting the good fight to go and try to fight against the repealing the USA Patriot Act, to get rid of it finally once and for all, to get rid of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, which is basically, the Patriot Act on steroids, where the government can actually arrest you and put you in prison and not give you a reason why, that sort of thing. Just this sort of thing that the government likes to do, checking your emails, just snooping in your life, or even basic law and order in society, where law enforcement feel like it can just trample on the rights of people. ACLU's been there fighting the good fight to see it be put to a stop. For example, like their continual fight to abolish capital punishment, that sort of thing. The right, and contrary to what people say about the ACLU, the ACLU is an anti-religious organization, it's an anti-Christian organization. ACLU has protected the rights of religious minorities throughout its existence. Whether we're talking about the religious liberties of atheists, or we're talking about the religious liberties of other groups, whether we're talking about Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, or other groups that are considered non-mainstream in society, or whether it's Muslims are being mistreated or discriminated against, or what have you. The ACLU's been fighting the good fight to protect the religious rights of people. Freedom of religion also means freedom from religion too, by the way. So ACLU's been around to make sure that LGBTQ people are considered equal under the law. And they have been very strong in that fight as well. And so the ACLU is an important instrument of liberation. Now, one little criticism of them, if they did go into a Trump derangement syndrome mindset during the Trump years. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk on this Trump derangement syndrome, because going after Trump in itself is not Trump derangement syndrome. I want to make that clear, because when the ACLU warned Donald Trump when he got elected in 2016 that we went after every president since 1920, since it became officially the ACLU, from Wilson all the way to Obama. and they said that you're not going to be exempt from this, and they were absolutely every bit right to do this. I know that Kim Iverson said that they went through a TDS phase, and I probably am going to not doubt her on that regard, and but I wish that the ACLU would be objective and not go into partisan politics. I like it when the ACLU is nonpartisan. So I remember when I first heard of the ACLU. That was in 1988 when Michael Dukakis ran for president. It was my first vote at the age of 19. And when I found out about it, I was like, hey, this organization is really based. I like what the ACLU stands for. So next organization, and I believe it was founded in 1924, is the War Resisters League. And this organization, peace activist, the late David McReynolds, was a member. And I don't have the graphic here with me, but you remember the 1965 photo of the people burning the draft card at Madison Square Garden. David McReynolds is that person. He's the tall gentleman with the black horn rim glasses, burning the draft card along with the other gentleman. Well, the War Resisters League is one of the leading anti-war movement organizations around in this country, and they have been working hard to see to it that the United States mind its own damn business, and that they've been working hard to try to convince our society that we need to dismantle our nuclear, chemical, biological weapons, and that we need to pretty much withdraw from NATO, and we also need to go and take our defense forces, reduce it, and use the savings to fund the needs of the American people. And I know my friend down here, I have there's a couple I hang out with down here in North Carolina from the Catholic Worker Movement. That they're with the War Resisters League, and one person Patrick has just ended his 2-year jail sentence for protesting and actually entering into the Trident missile base, Trident base down in Georgia, and I cannot think of the name of the base, but we're going to talk about that when he comes on my show eventually. So there is that. So War Resisters League's done a very important work. So and I believe in the War Resisters League too. So there is that. Let's see what we got here. We have Planned Parenthood, founded in 1916 by Margaret Sanger, and the Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood does not provide abortion for people, for women, but it provides other forms of health care and for women as well, and education and about birth control, and to allow women to determine their own destiny and all that. So reproductive rights, sexual rights, that sort of thing, and for a healthier society. It's done some important work, and they've been around since 1916. And the Socialist Party can lay claims to Planned Parenthood. A very radical union that can also lay claim to the socialist tradition. It would be Industrial Workers of the World, the Wobblies. Not just founded by Eugene Debs, but founded also by Helen Keller. Also founded by Socialist Labor Party leader Daniel DeLeon. A radical anarcho-syndicalist union that has been involved with anti-war activism, and they have been involved with radical union work, and they exist to this day. And God bless them for the work they have done for over the years. Just kind of, if you ever watched the movie Reds with Warren Beatty, he's Jack Reed, and he's basically an organizer for the IWW, Industrial Workers of the World, and they were sort of that time. I guess you could still say they are. That time they were for certain a competitor to the American Federation of Labor, which was the predecessor to the AFL-CIO. And you know, we're better off also because of what Wobblies have done. And so I'm just giving y'all a quick snippet of what I mean by American socialism and all that. So anyway, we have here on the chat lines. Let me scroll this thing up here. Warren, how are you today? I hope you're feeling better and everything. Everything works out for Saturday, this coming Saturday for the Secret Show. Yeah, when I don't watch the Secret Show, I'm like, oh, I'm like going through withdrawals. So anyway, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Daniel Berry Sports and Highlight, how are you? Let's see. I hope you're doing well. Comrade Kitty, hey, are you doing? I'm doing well. And Ellen, Willie, sorry to be late. Hey, that's okay, Ellen. I'm actually going to do another video almost right away after I do this one. So there's another video I have conjured up and everything. So don't worry, no worries. I'm always glad to have you here. Let's see. All right. Okay. The Willie Bragg Show. The ACLU used to get my unexamined support. The did great in getting info on BP patrol under Obama's first, but they manipulated a herd into her JD lawsuit, into her Justice Department. I guess it's Justice Department lawsuit. Well, when it comes to the ACLU, as I said, I'm not as jazzed about them as I used to be. I still think they do good work, but they kind of fall in their way just a little bit. So, are you talking about Columbus and the School of the Americas? I know who you're talking about. No, I'm talking about, and I cannot think of the name of the base down in Georgia. Is it the King Bay? It's with the Trident subs. It's located. Oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart today. So, I'm just not. I'm not sure. I want to have to talk to. I've been wanting to interview him about this anyway, and he's been out of prison for a while. So, and he's got quite a few stories. Patrick, his name is Patrick O'Neill. He's got quite a few stories. He's friends with Matthew Ho, who's been a guest on my show here before, the Green Party candidate, ran for the U.S. Senate last year. So let's see here. Long day and exhausted. Well, I hope your day gets better, Warren. Let's see. Hey, Warren, how's that bid? The president going? Yeah, Warren, how's it going? Are you going to be Cornel West's running mate? Has a new name now, so all is good. Okay, there you have it. Yeah, school has a new name now. Yeah. So anyway, yes, folks. I just wanted to say that don't ever feel like you're being so superly un-American when you espouse your socialist values, is what I'm trying to say overall. So that's why I just felt compelled to share this video with you all today. So if you like what you heard, please press like and comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. be sure to follow and subscribe to my platforms here on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. Reject Corporate Media. And I will be doing another video in just a few minutes. I have it scheduled at 5:30, so it will probably be between now and 5:30 when I sign off here. So anyway, I will catch you all in the next video very shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.